my 13-year-old niece met my husband for the first time and said, "I've seen you before." He froze, and what happened next completely shook me. What unfolded after that moment shattered everything I thought I knew. Hi, I'm Alex, a 30-year-old woman who's been through a whirlwind recently. Even though some time has passed, it still feels like it all happened just yesterday. I needed to share this with someone outside of my family and friends, so here I am. Let me start from the beginning. I was born much later than my sister. There's a 16-year age gap between us. Because of that, we never developed a close sisterly bond, though she spoiled me a lot. In many ways, it felt like she treated me more like her child than her sister. By the time I was old enough to form memories, she was already off to college. When I was 10 years old, I attended her wedding. She was already pregnant at the time, so I was excited not just for the wedding, but also to meet my niece and have another kid to play with. 5 months after the wedding, my niece Tori was born. I still clearly remember visiting her in the hospital right after she was born. I was so excited to see her little face and felt an overwhelming amount of love for her. After Tori came home, I spent as much time as possible with my sister to help take care of her. As the years went by, my love for Tori only grew. I would always offer to babysit whenever my sister needed help. Instead of thinking of each other as aunt and niece, Tori and I felt more like siblings. That's why it was so hard for both of us when I had to move to a different state, Florida, to study and work. But I made sure to always call home and stay in touch with my family, especially Tori. The distance didn't break our bond. In my last year of university, I met my husband Caleb. He was a star football player, and I still don't know how I caught his attention. Since I wasn't into sports at all, I spent most of my time reading in the library. But one day, Caleb found me there and started talking to me. What I loved most about him was how confident and charming he was. Later, after we were together for a while, he told me he was actually nervous to talk to me. But I never would have guessed that from how confidently he approached me. We went on several dates and quickly realized that even though we had different interests, we fit well together. We shared the same sense of humor and spent all our dates laughing until our bellies hurt. It didn't take long for us to make our relationship official. I always made it clear to Caleb how much I loved my family, so he met them through many video calls. The only person I didn't tell about Caleb was my niece, Tori. Even though Caleb had met almost everyone important in my family, he hadn't met Tori yet. I did talk to him about her a lot, though. One day, Caleb asked why he hadn't met my niece, even though I talked about her so much. I told him, "Babe, I haven't introduced you to Tori because she's just 11. I want to protect her innocence from my adult life." He replied, "I don't think 11 is too young. I'd like to meet her and be part of her life too. Tori is the most important person to me. But she's still a child. She doesn't need to be involved in my romantic life," I explained. "It feels like you're keeping me separate because you doubt our relationship's future," he said. "What? That's not true at all," I assured him. "You're afraid of introducing me to Tori in case things don't work out between us. You don't want to introduce her to someone who won't be a constant in her life," he continued. "You've got it all wrong. It's about protecting her, not doubting us." I said, "All right, fine, let's drop it. Just understand that I see a long future for us," he said. "But I'm just not ready to mix our worlds yet," I explained. I understood why Caleb was upset, but I wasn't ready to involve Tori in this part of my life. I wanted to protect Tori's innocence. Even though deep down, I knew I wasn't really doing that. In my mind, she was still that little baby I first met in the hospital, and I wanted to keep seeing her that way, at least until she became a teenager. 2 years after we graduated from college, Caleb asked me to move in with him, and I happily agreed. I was thrilled to live with a man I was so deeply in love with. During this time, I also met all of Caleb's family. Caleb was still a little hurt that I hadn't told Tori about him yet, but he chose to let it go instead of bringing it up. I could tell he was still bothered by it because he would briefly mention it before dropping the subject. When Tori turned 13, I waited a couple of months before finally telling her about Caleb. We got on a video call one day while Caleb was out for a run. "Tori, I have something to share with you," I said. "What's up?" she replied. "I have a boyfriend, really." "Oh my gosh. Tell me everything," she exclaimed. "His name's Caleb. We met in college and have been together since my senior year." "Is he a good guy?" she asked. "He's the best." "You love him," I assured her. "I can't wait to meet him then." "Well, actually, we were planning to come for Thanksgiving." "Wait, seriously? I've got bad timing." "Huh? What do you mean?" I asked, confused. "I got into that boarding high school I've been raving about for ages. I need to be there next month." "That's amazing, Tori. I'm so proud of you." "Yeah, but I won't be around for Thanksgiving." "Don't worry about it. I'm planning on marrying Caleb anyway, so you'll have plenty of time to meet him." "You're already planning weddings, huh?" "I love it," she said with a laugh. E spent the next half hour excitedly talking about Tori's new school. I learned that Tori would only have some time off, but now that Caleb and I were working, we couldn't just take off to go meet her. And when Tori was at school, she wasn't allowed to use electronics for long periods. Tori was fine with that, because the school had so many extracurricular activities that would keep her busy and tire her out. By the end of the day, I was excited for her to experience new things. When Caleb came back from his run, I told him about the call. Once again, he was disappointed that he missed meeting Tori, but he felt better knowing that I was ready to introduce him. He didn't mind waiting because he knew I wasn't purposely keeping him away from the most important person in my life. A couple of months later, while we were visiting my family for Thanksgiving, Caleb decided to propose to me. I couldn't have imagined a better time for him to do it. He knew how much I wanted my family to be there during my big moments. I said yes with the biggest smile on my face and tears streaming down my cheeks. We got married within the next year. Tori, of course, heard the news and sent a text congratulating me. Caleb and I spent the next year meticulously planning our wedding. We wanted everything to be perfect. Since Tori was still at school, there was no way for her to attend the wedding. I was crushed that she couldn't make it, but I knew her education was more important than an event like a wedding. Plus, Caleb comforted me by saying we could have a small ceremony after Tori graduates to replicate our wedding. The wedding was a grand affair. Everyone laughed and cried, and I felt like the luckiest girl alive. The love and support I received that day were beyond anything I could have imagined. I truly believed that the rest of my life would be blissful because I got to spend it with Caleb. And for the first year of our marriage, that was true, but then things started to go downhill. We both had stable 9-to-5 jobs, made good money, and lived comfortably. We were never really interested in having children, so that wasn't something we had to plan for. So it came as a surprise when one night while we were lying in bed, Caleb asked if he could start working overtime. "Babe, there's something I need to talk to you about," he said. What's up? I asked, a little concerned. I've been thinking about taking up overtime at work, Caleb said. One night, as we lay in bed. Overtime? Why the sudden interest? I asked, surprised. I've been aiming for a promotion for a while now, and the extra money could help us, he explained. I love that you're passionate and ambitious, but we're already comfortable, I said. I know, but I think we can do even better, he replied. I love our time together, just relaxing after work and on weekends. It means a lot to me, I told him, hoping he'd understand. I value that too, but I see the potential for more, he said. It's not about potential, it's about quality of life. I want to enhance our quality of life through hard work, he insisted. I respect your choices, but I'm not happy with this decision. I admitted. I'm doing what's best for both of us, Caleb said. Then turned over and turned out the light after wishing me good night. I was left awake with my thoughts, feeling upset that Caleb had made this decision without really discussing it with me. We didn't need the extra money. Both of us were able to save a good amount each month. We had made smart investments and had our retirement funds set up. We lived comfortably, so I didn't understand why he felt the need to work more. But I figured that if Caleb was happy, I would be happy too. The next few months were torture for me. Caleb started coming home late and was usually too tired to do anything. He'd eat dinner and go straight to bed. He even worked on Saturdays and spent Sundays sleeping. I barely saw him properly most days, and I missed spending time with my husband. I tried talking to him about cutting back on work, but he always brushed me off, saying it was for our benefit. Eventually, after 6 months of this, Caleb did get promoted. I thought this would mean he'd have more flexibility with his time. While he did get more flexibility, it came with constant business trips. Every other week, he was flying out of state. It got to the point where it felt like I wasn't living with my husband anymore. Just a roommate I barely knew. I didn't know what to do. 1 month, Caleb hadn't been home for more than 2 days, and that was my tipping point. I broke down in front of him, asking why he never spent time with me anymore. Seriously, Alex, you're being so dramatic, he said, annoyed. I'm not being dramatic. I'm just expressing my feelings, I said, hurt. Well, you're being selfish. I'm working hard for a better life for us, he shot back. I never asked for any of that. All I want is time with you. The simple things we used to do, I pleaded. Right, because sitting on the couch, watching junk TV is so fulfilling. Stop being ungrateful, he snapped. You're calling me ungrateful? I appreciate your hard work, but it's tearing us apart, I said, my voice shaking. If I waited for you to tell me what to do, I'd be stuck doing nothing in life. Do you really think I'm holding you back? He retorted, shocked. You settle for less. You're happy with the bare minimum. I'm not like that. I want more from life, he said, his frustration clear. I'm not settling. I'm content with what we have, because it's enough for me, I tried to explain. And that's your problem. You're too lazy to chase after better things, he said harshly. I'm not greedy, Caleb. I value what's important over constantly working myself to the bone, I replied, tears filling my eyes. You just don't get it, do you, he said, storming out of the house, leaving me standing there overwhelmed by a flood of emotions. How could Caleb treat me this way? How could he look at me with such disappointment when he used to see me as the light of his life? I let it be for a while, trying to process everything. Eventually, Caleb's business trips became so frequent that he barely lived with me anymore. My heart is numb now.